I just had to decide, you know, you're thinking about going throughout the course of a season, you know, with me going forward offensively, how I was going to be able to contribute. You know, I just felt, excuse me, I felt as though I've contributed a great deal to the organization in Boston, and they've been so good to me and my family that, you know, we got to the position now whereas I'm thinking about, you know, is Miami going to be a good fit for me? There was a moment, you know, I talked to the people that are around me that have watched me, that have followed me for ever, you know. They just said, you know, change is not bad. You know, you have to consider this. You have to really think about whether or not, you know, this organization is going to be beneficial to you being able to play basketball the way we know you play basketball, the way you're capable of helping the team. And, you know, I think it was just that moment going forward. We said, hey, this is going to be a great opportunity for me.
Have you done anything to keep you at all? More minutes, Ray? Got a bigger role, Ray? More money?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Was it difficult, Ray, to leave Boston just from the standpoint you'd won a title there? There were some people saying a couple more years there, maybe your number could even be retired or what have you, the banners up there. Just all of that, did that make it tough leaving Boston?
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, we've, you know, even in the last week, you know, we had to, you know, you're saying goodbye to a lot of people who we've grown to know and love in our community, people in the organization. Everything changes, so you are sad about that, but it doesn't keep those people from still being close to our heart or still being friends, or, you know, we'll still be friends with, you know, everybody, excuse me, that have been in our lives. So, you know, one memory I will always have is Game 6, you know, when we're getting beat by 20 and the people in Boston are still standing chanting, "Let's go Celtics," because, you know, this thing isn't over with yet. You know, and I'll always remember that from those fans.
Ray, when you guys got to Boston, position-wise, you guys were such a good fit with you and Paul and KG and Rajon. Here they talk a lot about positionless, as you've already heard, I'm sure. So how is that so different for you, but at the same time, how much does that make sense to you in terms of your basketball philosophy?
That's how I've always played. You know, I go back to, you know, I'm ecstatic that Rashard is here because I go back to when we played in Seattle. That was similar to how we played in Seattle. You know, get the ball up the floor, you know, spread the floor, you attack the build-out guys, get to the basket, make the easy extra pass. That's what Miami did to us, you know, the last couple of years. And, you know, they even got even better at it, you know, going into this year. So that's what we talked about, you know, when I met with Coach a couple of days ago, and, you know, I've always played that way. You know, when I got to Boston, you know, it was very traditional in the sense of how we played. So, you know, I look forward to this team and the offense, you know, having a high octane offense, you know, with Dwayne and LeBron out there just pushing it and you know, creating so many shots for everybody else. And, you know, I hope I can do the same thing for them.
I'm sure you've seen some of the Judas references and all that stuff from coming out of Boston. Yeah. A, how much does it bother you if they think that way in terms of you being a traitor? And then secondly, how much does that kind of make you fit in right here with all the sort of negative cloud that's always around this team sometimes?
Well, you know, I've given so much, not only on the floor but off the floor. So, you know, I think that there's a sense of sadness and hurt, I think, that the people feel. And we feel that too as a family. You know, we feel the loss, the sense of loss that we're gonna that we'll have not being in that community, and that's understandable. But we know we're still part of that community. We're still a part of New England. We still live in Connecticut. Our home is still in Boston. So that's not going to change how we feel about the people there.
How does it feel for you to hear it?
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It's, you know, I know who I am. You know, I know what my, you know, my everyday goal or tasks are, and that's to raise my kids to be respectable people in this world. So, and to make this team better.
And Eric, you've coached a team with a lot of different big personalities and stars, and Ray, you won a title and coach. You guys have both done that and won the title. We've also seen with the Lakers a few years before you guys got together, Ray, that not working. So Coach, what do you do now that you're adding 2 more players who are used to starting minutes and big personalities into a locker room where you already have a few of them?
Again, it's the type of fabric of the player that we're looking for. Not every player is a great fit here. We know that going into the process, but there are some that we immediately know, and without even talking to them, that we know that they would be a great fit. And then when we had an opportunity last week to spend the whole day and evening with Ray, we knew this is everything that we heard about, but more. And we anticipate it'll be a very seamless fit. Everybody here has had to sacrifice something, and that's not just talk. They've had to sacrifice to be a part of this, and everybody knows it's just about winning. And we have a great family atmosphere, and the guys are a big part of that.
I was hoping you'd tell Aaron you turned out to be a party, but on that note, have you allowed yourself, knowing the way you are, have you allowed yourself to start daydreaming how you're going to draw up sets and having these guys that take part of all the things you can do there?
Yeah, I mean, that's natural. Of course, any coach would do that. Hopefully we can play faster. Hopefully there will be less sets that will be running. But it's exciting, and I think each player will complement each other. Eventually, it'll become a real strong team, and that's what it's all about.
For you, the question we get a lot is what number are you going to wear and why?
Well, we talked about this when I got traded to Boston. One of the most realist thoughts that I had was that I wasn't going to be wearing 34 anymore, and I had to pick a new number. And when I walked in that organization, there's not a lot of numbers there that you can choose from. And so, you start thinking about 000 and different numbers like that. So, I settled on 20 because that was the only other number that I had. And, 20 was great to me. 20 represents a lot of who I am and who I was in Boston. So when we thought about it 2 days ago, I called Pat up and I asked him, I said, is number 34 available? And he said it is available, so we're going to go back to 34.
Is that what you wore, Hillcrest?
Yep.
Ray, Gary Washburn, Boston Globe. Health-wise, how are you? And last, during the playoffs, how much did the ankle really hobble you and curtail your progress?
Surgery was good. Dr. McKinn did a great job. I was walking within 4 or 5 days. Not a lot of swelling. Even now, if I do too much on it, I haven't worked out. I haven't been given clear to work out on it yet. But if I do too much walking on it, it gets a little tender. But for the most part, I'm excited about it because I'm feeling really good and moving forward. Playoffs, I was probably I was maybe a day away from just having surgery. When I decided that I was going to play and I was going to continue to try to stay along to help the team win, I think one day more I'll probably have surgery. That's how much it bothered me.
Ray, I think just about everybody understands how close you were with the Diabetes Center and things of that nature up in Boston. How much of a factor were those relationships when you were weighing should I or shouldn't I? How much did that enter into the equation?
I think that was a huge part of it. Having to move my kids, walkers. His doctor is there, and she's one of the best doctors in the world, but she travels all over the world. And there are great hospitals here in Miami. There's great doctors down here in Miami. And, the one thing, my wife called Dr. LaFell, and she said, don't worry, we patched you in immediately to somebody down in Miami, and, we're already on it. So, he could possibly still go up and have, regular checkups there, but we have a doctor here that knows exactly what they're doing already. So, it's a seamless transition, so we're not too worried about it.
Ray, Pat Riley's probably talked players out of probably almost close to $100 million by now and getting them to come down here and play.
Can you talk about what it's like going into the room with that man, his powers of persuasion, and was there any chance you were going to be able to leave that room and not eventually come back and give him a definitive yes? What's the Pat Riley experience like?
Well, I didn't sign the contract in the room, so that was probably a good thing. I got away and I was able to think about it on a neutral site. Like I said earlier, this was my first time really sitting down and having an opportunity to swap stories with him, and just a very disarming guy. So much to talk about, and we talked about different books that we read. I got a book from him, The Four Agreements, and there's some good quotes in the book that I read, and movie suggestions. He's like a guy after my own heart. Like, there's so many lessons in life